and to kind of like go to this other question of like, if he's supposed to lead, then like, what is my influence or what is my role? The man, he's leading, but he's leading based on the data that you're giving. So it's not like, it's not just like, oh, I'm supposed to just like shut up, sit back, and he's like leading this thing and I have no part in it. Hopefully, and even if a man is not kind of familiar with like the idea of, leadership or masculine provision or anything like that, um, there's like a primal instinct to protect and provide. And he knows that what you like and what you don't like and what feels good and doesn't feel good. He knows that that information is important for him to be able to make the decisions for where he leads things, or you, or your life, or your relationship. So it's not like your chain is just being yanked like a dog. He's leading, but he's leading based on your feedback. He's leading based on knowing like what you like and what you don't like, right? So this is why it's like really important as a woman to be self-sourced and to be like embody a sense of fullness from like the inherentness of your woman, because then you know what you want and then you can actually provide that feedback. You can actually say what feels good and what doesn't. You can actually know with confidence, like, this is something I would really love or not, right? If we are confused about what we want and what we desire, or we have any sense of like not deservingness, or like if there's any lack of clarity for whatever reason, like about what we want and what we desire, it's going to be reflected in his leadership, right? So this is something I talked about on, I think, the first call 1, is that if you're sensing that like his leadership is wobbly, or he doesn't know what to do, or whatever, it feels like you have the judgment of like, my man's not a good leader, then I would first, before you cast that judgment, I would start to look at, where are you not clear in what you desire? Where are you not fully and honestly revealing to him the truth of your heart? Because he can't lead if he doesn't have information, right? So like, yes, the man leads, but he's leading based on what he sees over here and you, and like what you're wanting and what you're not wanting. Now, I want to clarify, that doesn't mean that that like, oh, okay, so now I just need to like tell him what I want, and if he doesn't like meet that, or if he doesn't follow through with what I want and just give me what I want, then that means like he's not leading me, or he's a bad leader, or whatever. It doesn't mean that you're going to always get what you want. And it's up to you to know the things that feel imperative to get what you want, and the things where like you're going to look deeper to see if like it's actually an ego-driven desire, and what he's providing in lieu of or instead of, if like there's something for you, like a deep teaching in that, right? So like, I'll give you guys an example. In my relationship, like, I would have said at the very beginning of my relationship that, what my desire is to like live with my partner, because and it is, but I'll back up. Like in all of my relationships, like I moved in, like we lived together basically as soon as we started dating. And so I would have said that that's what I needed or wanted right away. But my partner didn't do that. So I could say like, oh, I provided him with the information that I would like to live together, and then he didn't do that right away. So like, he wasn't for me, he wasn't my man, he wasn't like listening or being a good leader. Like, I could have said all of that, but like actually what he led me to was something different, something so much better, which is that I wasn't going to be with a man who I could control with my like anxiety and fear, right? So like any desire to live with a man that you just met is probably just to like close the gap of separation so that you don't feel uncomfortable and have your anxiety and like abandonment wounds triggered, which was that was what was true for me, right? So it was actually such a greater gift that he said no, and we've had to live separately so that I could actually learn that I can be in a secure relationship without living together. And then a natural desire to live together, not rooted in anxiety, not rooted in fear, not rooted in like fear of separation or anything like that, but actually like, oh, I have a long-term relationship with someone who I really love being with. And so like it's actually a desire that comes from like pleasure and feelings of like goodness, and this feels good and I want more, and it's not a desire rooted in like just like fear and anxiety, right? So I learned how to experience that desire from a place of true desire and not my fear, which I would say is more of a like compensatory desire. So I'm saying all of this because he might say no, and it's up to you to be like, okay, am I gonna accept the no? And yeah, am I gonna accept the no and trust that like it's because actually he's leading me to a place in myself that is greater, right? And he's leading us to a place to have a relationship that's better than I ever had. Whereas, like, if he would have just been a guy who was like, okay, yeah, we just met, let's move in together, we would probably be in the same type of relationship and circumstances that I have had in my past, right? So, like, he actually led the relationship and me to like a way better place, that a place in myself that's way more secure and like can hold myself better, instead of like, oh, I just like need you to listen to, like, I need you to basically collude with my fear and anxiety. So yeah, this is like the gift of masculine leadership and masculine provision. It's like they're listening, they want that data, they want that information about what you want, and then they get to decide like, okay, does she want that from a place of her fullness, or does she want that from a place of her lack? And so he might say no because he's like, okay, I see you want this. That's step 5. And like, you're kind of at step 1 right now. So actually, I'm going to like make sure that you're good, all the other steps. And then we can like reach that point. And again, like, he might not be thinking of it like this, but that's what men are doing when they're making decisions, is like they're looking at everything from every angle. And if you say you want something and some part of him is like, she couldn't like sustain that, or she couldn't like hold that, or she's not in a place in her life to be able to like do that or have that, like, then his kind of like alarm bells will go off and he won't trust the desire necessarily. Um so yeah, I'm kind of like giving like the inside look of like why a man might say no to something that you want, and that it like that that even his no is providing you with something, like it's deeply, possibly it's deeply like attuned to you and trying to give you something different than what you've had. So um yeah, so like this is just like the dynamics of masculine feminine relating when women are choosing to like surrender their ego to men and let him lead. These are some of the possibilities and how that works. So